Hey there, it's Lacey J from Space Bear Media, the makers of Lost in My 40s. Did you know that you can go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, including our weekly video pre-shows where your hosts ponder ethical questions related to the week's episode and answer some fun questions just for, well, fun. Speaking of fun, if you have it thanks to our content, please consider rating or reviewing Lost in My 40s on your favorite app, or recommend us to a friend who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 2, Episode 25, Theories and Questions. Who's excited? Who's excited?
Oh my God, oh my God.
All right, today we will be talking about not just theories and questions, but also a few fun facts about our character rankings, a little more of a deep dive, plus an aggregate of the main characters over both seasons, and an in-depth look, with spoilers, by the way, at the novel Bad Twin by Gary Troup. And then, of course, Derek's biggest questions from Season 2 and from the entire series so far. But first, let's review what we talked about in Season 1, Theories and Questions. There were two main ones that we talked about. I'm just going to touch on them and then add a little bit. The first was that the hatch represents the Greek myth of Pandora's box, and that by opening it, they have released evil. We went over what the Tale of Pandora was, if you want to hear it again.
Locke was the box man, so.
He was the box man.
Yes, he was, and a lock in the box.
Yeah.
Indeed. Right, when Locke uses the phrase hope, is how this theory started, because that is what is left inside Pandora's box when all of the evil is tossed out. And in Season 2, some fans took the foot of the statue as possibly further evidence toward the myth of Pandora's box, because it could be a Greek statue. The second thing that we talked about was that the survivors actually died during the crash, and that the island was in purgatory, or the island is purgatory, or is in purgatory.
Wait, what about the foot makes you think that it's Greek?
Not me. It's not about the foot. It's not that the foot makes anyone think Greek specifically, but that the foot and the way the sandal was atop the four-toed foot was reminiscent of Greek.
And you
statues.
said last episode, or is it last, or one before, the fun facts where they have 4 toes on Greek statues. That's why I said, you saying it's a Greek statue?
No, I said Egyptian.
Oh, Egyptian. Okay.
Egyptian.
Yes.
There we go.
But all of the ancient history, they have their own sculptures and artwork. And so, some people wondered why is it 4 toes and where did it come from? And others saw it as evidence that they're on the right track with Pandora's box.
I was thinking, in Greek mythology, there's the Titans and giants and all that type of shit, wasn't there?
That too.
Were there giants that might be different? Different number of toes.
They might be giants.
Possible, yeah.
I don't know.
That's a band.
Oh my God.
I know. All right, back to the purgatory theory. Of course, this was the pervasive one. But what's interesting is by the end of Season 2, and actually fairly early on, maybe even toward the end of Season 1, by now is what I should say, the writers had flat out denied that this is where the show was going, and it's not about purgatory, so just give it up and forget it. However, some of the fans happened to notice that Gary Troup, the author of Bad Twin, is an anagram for purgatory.
Oh my God.
Dun, dun, dun.
In addition to those sort of overarching theories, there are a few more things that came out of season 2 that were floating around out there. The first, the others are the Dharma Initiative, and that they're doing some kind of experiments on children, which is why they took Alex and why they took Walt and why they were so interested in the pregnant Claire, which left fans worried for the pregnant son.
They took my baby.
My baby.
Next.
Let's get her and Michael together. Walt, my baby. Walt, my baby.
It sounds like something you'd hear at a rave.
Yeah.
All right. So next thing, there were some people who thought that the men who were looking for Mr. Cooper finally get sick of Locke's shit and break his legs, leaving him in a wheelchair.
Oh, shit. We still don't know how that fucking happened.
Well,
Nope.
I do.
Nope.
None of you.
Yeah.
Derek's
No,
never seen it. And
I
the two of you don't
remember,
remember.
but yeah.
Well, it's coming up in season 3. We get to find out. All right. The third little theory I'm going to bring up is related to one of Derek's questions at the end of the last episode. So, some people believed that when Desmond turned the failsafe key, what happened was that the magnet was reversed, which is why the hatch door that said quarantine on it went flying toward the beach as opposed to being sucked in to the magnet.
That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Next, pretty much everybody was convinced that Walt was never coming back because although it had only been 2 months on the island, this child had been growing for 2 years, and it was going to only become more and more obvious that time was not passing correctly for Walt. And so one of the things that was floating around out there was that somehow Henry fucked them by giving them certain, coordinates, and that Walt dies at sea. And then Michael shows back up next season with more vengeance in the name of his son.
I figured that crappy boat would just sink.
Yeah, there's that too. Next, people started to wonder whether or not Libby was in the mental hospital with Hurley because she lost her shit after her husband died.
Lost her shit after she lost her ship.
Oh.
Well, no. So I'm thinking it might be husband gets sick and dies. She ends up in a mental hospital. She gets out and meets Desmond and gives him the boat and then ends up on Oceanic Flight at 15.
Or she's just crazy the whole time, never had a husband, and the whole thing's a fucking delusion.
That's right.
Oh, interesting.
Perhaps part of the crazy was her giving Desmond the boat.
Yeah.
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 It's funny that you say that about crazy the whole time, because the next thing that I was going to tell you is that some people thought that Hurley is not crazy and has never been crazy, but he in fact can talk to dead people, and that Dave and Starla and Johnny were all killed when he knocked the deck down.
Wow.
I have one more. And the last one does tie into continuing with the purgatory theme that the writers have flat out denied. And that is that the whispers on the island are not the others, but instead lost souls who cannot get out of purgatory.
Oh.
All right, guys, let's do a bit of a deep dive into our character power rankings. First, let's review who won our top 3. Echo, Silver Surgeon, Mayor of Island Town. Our bottom 3, Michael, Mr. Cooper, as Ben used to call him, and Charlie, poor Charlie.
No, not poor Charlie. Charlie made his fucking bed.
Yeah, he deserves to be where he is in the Rangers right now.
But he's a hobbit, and I love him. Let's do a few more. Ben, can you help me out here? Who was the most fucked this season? I have an inkling.
One guess.
It might be the same as last.
Yeah.
Kate, and Kate. All righty.
Yeah.
Who was the most killed?
I'm going to guess Michael.
Same here.
I think
you guessed correct.
Yep.
Oh, who was our most loved off-island character?
Oh. Anyone got any guesses?
Helen.
You got it again.
Yeah,
I wasn't guessing because I can see what Ben wrote down for me. But yeah, heck yeah, Peg Bundy, fucking A.
Yeah.
And most hated off-island character is, of
Randy
course, obvious.
Randy Douchebag Nation.
No.
That's
No!
easy. No.
It's
Mr.
not.
Cooper.
It's Mr.
Mr.
Cooper.
Cooper.
He was
wow.
second. He was
In
second.
second place.
I think
Okay.
Lacey was the only one who hated Randy Douchebag Nations that much.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Randy. All right. Ben, what was our most random fuck and kill of the season?
Well, our most random fuck came courtesy of Christy, who fucked Abraham, who was a character from not even this show. That was
From the
Abraham
From The
was
Walking Dead.
was
Dead.
Michael Cudlitz from The Walking Dead played Abraham in that show and played Ana Lucia's police partner in this show.
right.
So.
Okay. So
But he was
Christy,
written down.
it is-
He was written down as Abraham on there. So,
So it is. So it is random that Christy fucked a character from another.
from
show.
another show.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
when I sent you a message to add Abraham to the list of characters. I was like, just trust me,
Just do it.
because you're going to be like, who the fuck is Abraham? So I was,
Yeah.
No, I
just
do.
do it.
I do.
Oh,
I knew
okay.
who Abraham was. All right. So
Our most,
what about our
our
most
most
random kill?
Yeah, our most random kill. I grabbed 3 of them. The first one was Jack's wig from earlier in the season. The second one was Drive Shaft, which I think more and more I don't really.
I'm okay with that. I stand
I'm
by
okay
that
with that.
decision.
Yeah, and then the last most random kill was Walt.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
a psycho.
Yeah, I had
You're
to kill
trying
him
to get back at a guy by killing his kid. Like,
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Well, he tried to get his kid back by killing other people, so
Yeah,
there's
he
a certain
did, 2
poeticism
people.
to that.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
those were all ones that we had covered in last season as well. But I've got a couple more that I am adding out of curiosity. Ben, who had the biggest fall from grace this season?
Well,
Charlie.
no. I mean, you could say Charlie because he's religious. No, fall from grace would be Michael. Michael peaked in episode 9 at 26 points, and by the end of the season fell 117 to negative 117, which was a 143-point swing.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So our biggest, so that was definitely the meteoric fall there.
How about the biggest climb toward the top?
Well, there's some religious overtones to this, but it's perfectly fitting that it's Mr. Echo. A few interesting things was he never lost points. He started at 0, and then by the time we got to episode 10, he was up to like 100, 111, 115 points, and he sort of stayed there for a while. And then near the end of the season, he started to climb again, but he had amassed such an early lead that nobody could follow him to the top of the mountain.
Well, and he's
I
such a
mean-
likable character that nobody
Yeah.
ever had
Yeah.
him
Yep.
in their bottom characters or on their, kill list.
Yeah,
Right.
he never
Wow.
did
Not a
anything.
priest.
Even when he basically got his brother killed and murdered multiple people, we were all like, he's cool. You know?
Yes. I think I
Drug
remember.
lord. He's cool.
I think I remember saying I'd let him slit my throat if he wanted
Oh.
to.
Wow. That's kind of grim.
All right.
Mm.
So, because there are new characters who show up in each season, we decided, at the beginning of the podcast that we were going to clear these power rankings each time, which we will be sticking to. Everyone will start at 0 again in season 3. However, I thought that it might be fun that at the end of each season, I give Ben a little more work to do, and he comes up with the aggregate scores of the main characters. We are denoting the main characters as someone who has their own episode. So, for example, this year, Henry Gale did finish in a negative amount, but he did not have his own episode, so he is not included in these final scores. However, next year, he does get his own episode, so he will be included, and the negative score from this year will roll over into his aggregate score.
You're going to, figure out how to do that with the whole he has a different name next season.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because when I looked at the
just add 'em
spreadsheet,
together.
I don't see a Henry Gale episode.
No, you don't.
no.
So yeah, well, that's why I say make more work for
That'll
Ben.
all get addressed.
Yep.
Ben will do it. So please, sir, give us the top 5 characters overall, seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, we've got Kate, who finished in first place. She ended the first season with 169 points, and in this season only 80. So not nearly as popular this season, but she had amassed such a big lead that she ended up with 249. Behind her,
Dr. Browns?
Oh, wow.
well, he would be
Silver
not in
Surgeon.
second place.
Silver
Silver Surgeon.
Duh.
Steady. He's 133 points in the first season and 107 this season. Comes out at 240. Behind him, I wrote it as Herky, but I think I know what I mean is Hurley. Also consistent. He came out with 200 points. Then we have Locke with 196 points.
Look at the difference of Locke from season 1 to 2. Season 1, 150 points. Season 2, 46.
46.
See what happens when he loses the faith?
Yeah.
That's right. Somewhat a little similar with Sun. She ended up in 5th place, 108 points in season 1 and only 44. I mean, what really happened here was that Mr. Echo just sucked up everyone's points this season.
Yep. And he finished, where did we say? Like 139. So he's just below. He would be in the top 10, which is interesting because he's only in one season.
In the second season.
And still, I think he was ranked 7th when I looked at it. He would have been 7 out of 10 had we done the top 10. All right. Well, how about our bottom 5?
Well, we've got Michael with negative 154 points. He ended the first season with negative 37, and then this next season with negative 117. So, yeah. Behind him, we have Shannon, who ended the first season with negative 113 points. So Michael with negative 117 has the biggest single season loss.
Like negative score so far. Yeah. And then Shannon, she only had negative 8 points in season 2 because she died.
She started
gaining
gaining some back, and then we killed her.
Yeah, she was barely in season 2 and still is the second worst character.
But next to her, in bed, in life, Boone. With negative 42 and negative 3. So he came out, to negative 45 points. And then we have Sawyer in 4th place. He had negative 25 points at the end of season 1, but ended up with a positive. Plus 4 points in season 2. And then we have Jin, same deal, negative 36 points in the first season, but plus 20 in the second season. So he goes into season 3 with 16 points in the hole.
Yeah, it shows how those two characters are coming around. Sawyer had an up and down sort of season 2.
Yeah.
But he's
Jin was
definitely
hardly
more liked. And with Jin, I mean, it's almost complete opposite. Negative 36 and a positive 20.
Before they explained
but you also with characters like Jin, you see him like in an episode, but then he'll basically not be in multiple episodes. Like he'll show up and have like one line or something like that, but usually it's either about him or he's not really in it.
So far, I'm going to make a prediction. This is the last time we're going to see Jin in this bottom 5 overall.
All right.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about Bad Twin by Gary Troup. If you don't want spoilers for this novel, you may want to fast forward a little bit because we still have Derek's biggest season-long, series-long questions to get to before we say goodbye. For those of you sticking around, Bad Twin was published posthumously after Gary Troup's death on Flight 815 by Hyperion Publishing in May of 2006. It made Publishers Weekly, Amazon, and the New York Times bestsellers lists. In actuality, it was ghostwritten by author and former ethics columnist for Esquire magazine, Lawrence Shames. Funny enough, this novel that he ghost wrote is his most popular published work ever.
Wow.
However, the fact that he was the ghostwriter was not revealed until after the show was completely over. The writers, much like they did with some of the other lore that sort of, had its tentacles out in the real world, like Alvar Hanzo and the Dharma Initiative, they pretended like it was all real through the course of the show. So, Hyperion claimed that Gary had dropped off a copy of the transcript before he left for Australia. And so they published it after his presumed death because of the crash. However, you and I and everyone here knows exactly how Gary died because Gary is the guy who got sucked into the engine in the pilot episode.
Oh, wow.
This we only know because the writers say so. They said it on their podcast that that's who Gary was. Okay, so there are several crossover characters / organizations from the show that are in the book, a couple of which haven't yet been explored on the show, but will be in the future. So if some of this sounds confusing to you, Derek, that's why. Let's talk about the crossovers. First, the Widmore family. In the book, we meet Arthur Widmore and Clifford Widmore. They are the twins. And also there is mention of their father, Arthur Widmore, who at the time is the patriarch and head of the Widmore family fortune and company. The connection between these Widmores and Charles and Penny Widmore remain unknown, but it is the same family.
Is there a connection to Squidmore?
I don't think so.
All right.
Alvar Hanzo, he is very briefly mentioned in the book as someone who used to sit on the board of Widmore Corporations. And then he is inexplicably replaced by a man named Thomas Middlework. And Arthur Widmore, the patriarch, makes comments in the book about how Alvar Hanzo is an honorable man. Thomas Middlework, which we have not met in the show yet. Technically, we haven't met Alvar Hanzo, but he has been mentioned, obviously. Thomas Middlework is also mentioned in the book, and he is the one who replaces Hanzo on the board of directors of the Widmore Corporation. Cindy, Chandler, and Oceanic Airlines both make an appearance in the book. This is the first time we find out Cindy's last name. She is a flight attendant on the flight that serves Paul and Prue. We'll talk about who they are in a minute when I give you a synopsis of the book, on their flight to Australia. So yeah, she shows up and that's that. And obviously so does Oceanic Airlines. That is what is used in the book to fly to Australia and back. The Widmore Corporation, obviously connected to the Widmore family, is also mentioned in the book. Same goes for the Hanzo Foundation. And Pike Industries is also mentioned in the book. One of the twin brothers was employed by a man named Pike, and there are other vague references to his Korean projects. Mr. Cluck's Chicken Shack, where the mayor of Island Town used to be employed, is also mentioned in the book. The main character eats there when he is in California.
And who was his manager?
Redneck douchebag nations. The numbers show up all over the book. Xander, one of the twins, was born on 8/15. His brother on 8/16, as they were 23 minutes apart. The Widmore gate code is 81516. The Hanzo Foundation can be found on floor 42 of the Widmore building. Cliff, who is the other twin, begins to search for his brother Xander 4 months after he disappears, which according to Cliff was on April 15th or 4/15.
I feel like they should go even more meta and just cut out the numbers 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Cut out those page numbers in the book so they just don't appear anywhere.
Oh, that would have been cool. All right. There are also several literary references that we hear both in Lost and in the book. There is a character who loves to quote authors within the book Bad Twin, and these are the things that come up. The Epic of Gilgamesh.
Boo.
Lord of the Flies, which we have not come across yet in the show. The Odyssey. The Turn of the Screw. We came across Lord of the Flies?
At one point, Sawyer says, it's Lord of the Flies now.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's right.
You're right. We did hear
that was
that
was season 1, wasn't it? That was early on.
I thought it was when he stole the guns this season, and that during his big speech,
maybe.
and that's why he did it, because it's Lord of the Flies out here. I don't remember, but you're right. I do remember that quote.
It was that, or it was when he kicked Jin in the face because they thought that Jin had burned the raft.
Okay, so that would have been season 1 too.
Maybe. I can't remember exactly when, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, me neither.
I thought what he said before he kicked him was, "You burned my ride."
Yes.
And then kicks him in the face. Yeah. Anyway, so things mentioned: Gilgamesh, Lord of the Fries.
Fries. Lord of the Fries.
Ding, fries are done.
Ding, fries are done.
Right. The Odyssey, The Turn of the Screw, The Third Policeman, and The Philosopher, John Locke. There are a few other interesting sort of references in the book that pertain to the show, although some of them aren't obvious until later in the seasons. So, Derek, again, if it sounds strange, sorry. In the book, there is a drug-addled character named Moth, which happens to be the title of the episode of our drug-addled character, Charlie. The boat that Moth is working on in Bad Twin is called Escape Hatch. Here's where you're going to get confused, Derek. 2 figures from the Bible are mentioned, Jacob and Esau. Hold tight, Derek. That's on the way. There is a subplot in the book that deals with pearl farming. When Paul is in Cuba searching for Xander, he meets a Cuban man. And the first thing that he says is, "You're him."
What?
There is a city in the book named Luna, which is rumored to have electromagnetic healing properties. Manny, who is the character who quotes all of the literature, says in the book, he quotes Tolkien, "Not all who wander are lost." I have the entire poem tattooed on my back. And while the show was being promoted, "Not all who wander are lost" was a quote that was used in the commercial previews for season 2 of Lost. Now, there are a couple quotes in the book that I'm going to pull out, things that characters said, and it should hopefully become clear as to why I'm reading these to you as I am reading them. In the book, someone is speaking about what is called Penaquiat, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. Doesn't matter. Island. Sorry.
It looks like Peconiquat.
Yep, that's right. I had a weird moment there where I just switched the letters around. Anyways, here's the quote. "As with every island, there was something slippery and mysterious about..." Ben?
Peconiquat.
Thank you. It was
dyslexia heart.
I don't have dyslexia. I'm not going to appropriate that, but for some reason I can't pronounce this word, and that's just the way it is. So,
Kumquat.
The rest of the quote about the island. "It was connected to the larger world, but then again, it wasn't. It had a logic of its own, a highly local mythology that made perfect sense within its confines, yet fitted uneasily with the mind habits of the world beyond its boundaries. Being an island, and a small one at that, it was also a place where people were easy to find." On the airplane, there is a conversation that happens between Xander and Paul. So while they are midair, Xander says, "There are certain things I believe in, like good and evil. The hard part is, you don't only choose just once. Most of us have to keep choosing day in, day out, in, year out. Good or bad? Which way am I going to go?" Paul responds, "That's the idea of purgatory, right?" Xander says, "What if there is no purgatory? What if there is no heaven, no hell either, no afterlife at all? This is our chance to get it right. First chance, last chance, only chance. But that's exciting, beautiful, right? Our work in this life is to choose good over evil, to be fair, to be kind. And there is a payoff, though it doesn't have to do with harps and wings. The payoff is peace of mind. That's what redemption really is. Soon after the book was published, an official press release was sent out by the Hanzo Foundation. It reads as follows. A message from Hugh McIntyre, Director of Communications at the Hanzo Foundation. Don't believe Bad Twin. For over 30 years, the Hanzo Foundation has stood for compassion and innovation, but today our reputation has been attacked in the novel Bad Twin, written by Gary Troup and published by Hyperion Books. Throughout the pages of Bad Twin, readers have found numerous passages featuring misinformation about the Hanzo Foundation and its partners. The Hanzo Foundation strongly objects to the book Bad Twin and encourages readers to make up their own minds. The truth about the Hanzo Foundation is available at www.thehanzofoundation.org and not on the pages of Gary Troup's Bad Twin. Experience it for yourself. Thank you, and namaste.
Don't trust them.
Trust them.
And then on the paper, there was the Hanzo Foundation logo, which reads, reaching out to a better tomorrow.
Oh, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, that's good.
That sounds like some movie you'd see Tom Cruise in.
Yeah.
Are we clear?
You ready for the story? I have a summary. It is a little bit longer than last episode, Charles Dickens, but still, I don't
Please
think anywhere...
don't be as long as Gilgamesh.
It's anywhere near as long as Gilgamesh. All right, let's see if we can fly through this. Here is the story. Paul Artisan. Did you just snore? Did somebody snore? Paul Artisan is a small-time New York City private investigator. He lacks confidence in himself and his skills as being an investigator. One day, he is paid a visit from a very well-dressed, aloof man he learns is Clifford Wilmore, one of the heirs of the wealthy and influential Widmore dynasty. His twin brother, Alexander, who goes by Xander, has gone missing. Xander is known for wild behavior and shady dealings, and everyone who knew him seems to think that's why he's gone. Clifford, on the other hand, is known as the more straight-laced...
He's a big red dog.
He's a big red dog. He's known as a straight-laced, responsible kind of guy and the cold one, much like Charles Widmore. He is also the CEO of the Widmore Corporation currently, which the twins' father, Arthur, still heads. And Arthur is known to be pretty opinionated, but also a benevolent eccentric. So, after meeting Clifford, Paul again doubts himself. So he goes to see his best friend and mentor, whose name is Manny Weissman. This is the guy who likes to quote literature and philosophers like John Locke. Manny is, known to be kind of an intellectual, and he typically likes to advise Paul using metaphorical stories that he doles out while the two of them go on long walks with the dog they share for some fucking reason. And his name is Argos. Paul then starts chasing leads on Xander. He's going all over the fucking world. Cape Cod, Key West, Cuba, Luna Valley, California. That's just the one that has the magnetic properties. And then also, of course, the coast of Australia. Along the way, he meets some interesting sort of characters. There is the pothead named Moth, yoga instructor and former lover of Xander named Sky, an old boat captain named Crunch, which is funny because that was Christie's dog's name. Clifford's pill-popping wife named Shannon, LOL, who is secretly in love with Xander. And then Elio, the founder of a cult-like nudist colony called the Helios Foundation. Many of them give Paul hints on kind of where to chase Xander next, and that's why he's going all over the fucking place. Some of these characters are threatened for helping him, and some of them are killed. While flying to Australia via Oceanic Airlines, Paul sits next to a woman named Prudence, who in the book goes by Prue. They become fast friends, and when they get off the flight, they fuck each other in the hotel.
Nice.
Next morning, Paul notices a gun in her purse and confronts her. Well, Prue then admits she's also a private eye, only she works for a large firm called Intercontinental, and she was once hired, she doesn't say by whom, to tail Vivian Widmore. Now, Vivian Widmore is a much younger woman than her husband, Arthur, the patriarch of the Widmore family. She's also a nymphomaniac and has in the past tried to seduce Paul himself. Vivian was suspected of having an affair with a man named Mr. Thursday. Prue relays that she was hired to follow Paul and make sure that he didn't come too close to finding Xander. So she's a mole.
I can't help but keep thinking about the British Bake Off because the hosts are named Paul and Prue.
Really?
Yeah, or the judges.
Oh, the judges are? Oh, how funny.
Yeah, the judges are Paul and Prue.
And it came out so many years before that existed.
I should say these are the current judges. It used to be Paul and Mary Berry, so now it's Paul and Prue.
Mary Berry.
Mary Berry. All right. Is that first and last name or one? Okay. All right. Got it.
She's not a hobbit.
She could be. I don't know. All right. So Paul realizes that he has been set up by Clifford to fail and that this is all a ruse to make it look like he's been searching for his brother. Excuse me. I have hiccups. So anyways, he convinced himself that the reason that Clifford chose him is because he is actually shitty and a terrible PI, all of the things that he's been afraid of, and that, you know, he just hoped that he would fail. So he gets real fucking angry about this, decides that he's going to try to prove himself, and convinces Prue to switch sides and work with him so that together they can find the truth. They follow Xander's trail to Lizard Island in the Great Barrier Reef, where they learn that he was pursuing a startup business of black pearl farming the last time that he had been heard from. So they masquerade as a honeymoon couple looking for real estate on the island and actually manage to find Xander himself. He's been living under an alias named Cameron Purdue. They go out on his boat together, and all three of them narrowly escape being killed by assassins on the boat. Paul and Prue then reveal themselves to Xander, tell him the whole fucking story and that his life is in danger. They think that maybe his brother is actually trying to kill him. And they convince Xander to fly back to New York City with them. And they all get on Oceanic and fly back to the States. So when they arrive, they learn that Clifford has recently been killed during a quote-unquote robbery. This seems suspicious, but in the meantime, Xander is reunited with his father, Arthur. They go to Clifford's funeral together. At the funeral, a car comes out of nowhere and starts shooting everyone at the funeral.
The car starts shooting people?
How's a car shoot?
The people in the car, like a drive-by.
Like guns in the headlights.
It was like Transformers.
Yeah.
All right.
That would have made the book so much better.
If it was Transformers, yeah. That's cool. All right, so Paul and Prue, they start shooting back at the car. They manage to kill the shooter, who turns out to be Vivian, the nymphomaniac's first husband, a mafia boss by the name of Monty Alban.
What type of mafia boss does his own fucking hits?
No shit. Not much of a boss.
I don't know. But not only is he a mafia boss, but he also turns out to be Mr. Thursday. He and Vivian had planned to kill off the entire Widmore family one by one to get their money. She wanted to be the last woman standing, which is interesting when you think about what we talked about last episode with the Dickens novel, that it was all surrounding money and death and what people would do for it. So, turns out that Xander was not, in fact, the bad twin. He was just misunderstood. Manny had suspected that the elder Widmore had been planning to leave all his money to him as the eldest born twin by a matter of minutes, but he was wrong. The inheritance was actually, what did I say, Manny? I didn't mean that. I meant Clifford had always expected that the elder Widmore would leave him all the money because he was the responsible one, and the eldest one by a matter of 23 minutes. But he was wrong. The inheritance was to be split with the exception of a small portion going to Vivian. However, Xander had planned to invest the money in his pearl farm, with the profits going to the indigenous Australians who ran it, and then he was going to donate the rest of his inheritance to a Cuban medical relief aid. If he went through with this, he would have liquidated his stock in a manner that the Widmore family would not have enough control over their company, and Cliff would have lost his position as CEO, which is what made him a target. In the end, Vivian goes to jail for all of her plotting, and Paul and Prue end up together. Ta-da! Thoughts? What do you think about the crossovers and the story and what?
I remember that I read Bad Twin back when it first came out.
As did I. And I read it on a plane. That was what just to be funny to myself.
And I thought it was clever. You know, there was just a lot of cleverness. I didn't think that it was great literature. You know, it's like a trashy beach novel kind of thing.
It's definitely a trashy beach novel. So the interesting thing about this is that the writers of Lost, when they hired the ghostwriter, gave him a list that said, we don't care how you incorporate it, but here is a list of things that we want to show up in the book, which is how they kind of got woven together. Apparently, he only included maybe half of the list because that's got to be really hard to write around. And he sort of had his own vision for the book, but that is why we see the crossovers, is that he was told, he didn't have to understand what they meant, but he was told, as long as you find a way to weave these in, then it just puts the tendrils out and be like, oh, even these characters in these books are interconnected with, the characters of the show, the same way the characters of the show are interconnected with each other, whatever. Anybody else have thoughts on the book? Ben looks like he's gonna just
haven't read it, so
go to sleep. Well, I meant on my summary.
No,
I zoned out.
Yeah, it's
all right.
It's the Gilgamesh effect.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I started watching paint dry, and I was like, man, that is interesting.
You know what?
Damn. Damn.
You can all fuck off. All right, Derek. Let's get.
I'm going to give you my thoughts on it.
Yeah,
I think it sounds like
me.
It sounds like a Pulp Fiction.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, would it be better to read it later on, or you can read it any time?
Because I've already mentioned all of the connections. You may not understand them, or you won't know. How
you won't get
Bible story.
Spoilers from reading.
No,
not at all.
Nope. Because you have to understand when this came out, like it came out during the show, and the audience had only seen the couple of seasons, and so they weren't going to spoil it in a book. So it's not like that. Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of people trying to break all the codes and figure out everything that's happening in the show picked up the book and started using it to mine for.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And that was the whole point. And that
it was a Q drop, basically.
That's probably why it's this author's, biggest hit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like Q drops. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the press release that I read to you from the Hanso Foundation, that was the introduction of like their website. That's why they used that to drive traffic to this website. And I don't even know if it's still up, but it used to be you could go and it just looked like a corporate website as if, that they were real. It was just all about, they built the Lost World in 3D. So we were also part of it, So anyways, Derek, what are your biggest questions that have, encompassed the entire season 2 or the entire show so far?
Well, I still want to know, why is the Dharma Initiative there? Like I kind of got an idea they got to push the button to stop that magnet from going crazy, but what is its origins?
What are the Dharma Initiative origins? Yes. Well, stay tuned, my friend. You will know all of that eventually.
And my next one is, what happened to the smoke monster? That thing has been quiet for a while.
Oh, I feel like the last time we saw it was when Echo came face to face. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's been a while ago.
That was pretty early on in the season, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, my friend, the smoke monster's role gets bigger and bigger.
Cool. Yeah, because it's just kind of like, you don't see it. It's just gone. I mean, like, it's got to still be there.
Right. You will get some answers about the smoke monster, what it is, what it's doing on the island. It's going to take a long time, but those answers are coming.
And you touched on this earlier, and he's had a lot of episodes. And why is Locke in a wheelchair? They keep teasing.
You're still like, oh my God, tell me. Oh, yes. I think in one of the best fucking episodes of the show altogether, we will have that answer finally in season 3. And I am going to steal that episode for myself, probably. No, maybe I'll give it to Derek. I'll think about it.
Okay. There's just 2 more. Where did the others come from, and how did they get there?
Okay.
It looks like they've been there for a while, maybe.
Right.
Or is that just how they want you to believe?
Interesting.
It looks so dirty.
Yeah.
Well,
you find some of that out fairly early in season 3, don't you? Some of those questions sort of get answered. Yeah. Real
indeed
early.
You do. We dive into the others fairly quickly.
Quickly.
We dive into the others.
We dive into the others, and Henry Gale and his real name and all of those good things fairly quickly. What's
What is wrong with you?
I know she's not drinking.
No.
What's wrong with me? I've been talking to her.
I just want to be loved. Is that so long?
I'm not going to try to say that a third time. I think y'all got what I was getting at.
Early on.
All right.
And the last one is, or did you finish?
No, yes. Okay. Well, I mean, not finish.
Yeah, I know, but what do the others want with Walt so bad? Like, they have a fascination with children. Like, they took,
Right. Well, so what did you think of the theory that I mentioned?
It's interesting.
As far as like, as far as, people were thinking that the Dharma Initiative was running experiments on children.
And it fits into that, because they want the children.
Yeah, I think it's a cabal of pedophiles.
And then, so how do the others tie in? Are the others Dharma, or are the others continuing their work? What
they
is
could be
going
like
on?
Ex-Dharma people that went crazy.
I wonder if they're housing all the children underneath the pizza parlor.
Oh my God!
Right. You know what?
Wait a minute.
Lost. The island is Epstein's island.
That's right.
That's it. I solved it.
That's why they want the children.
Yes. I solved it.
Oh God. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that's so bad. Oh God. Oh Jesus.
Good
All
Lord.
Right.
This is a fantastic way to end the season, man.
Do you have anything else, Derek?
No, that's the main ones.
All right. I love your questions. I love what you're thinking. I'm not going to give it away, but I will say in all of your speculations just then, you hit one of them nail on the fucking head. So stay tuned.
It's the pedophile thing.
Yeah, Epstein.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
No.
All right, guys, that's it, folks.
Right.
This is the actual end of season 2 of Lost and Lost in My 40s. Once again, I'd like to extend a special thanks to Ado and Dave and Caleb for joining us this season. Again, don't forget to message us, spacebearmedia.com/contact. Let us know if you like the guest stars and if you want to see more, because we aim to please. All right. We'll be back just after Christmas on Wednesday, December 28th, with 3 new episodes for season 3. Season 2 recap, A Tale of Two Cities, and The Glass Ballerina. We get another new full cast. some with their own flashbacks, including Mr. Henry Gale, whose name will be revealed. Yay! Plus, and I'm going to keep saying it finally, Christy gets to take us through Nikki and Paolo. Season 3 is coming at ya in 10 weeks. Don't miss the pre-show on Space Bear Media's YouTube channel on Tuesday, December 27th. Have a super happy holiday season, starting with Halloween, ending with Christmas. We'll see you in 10 weeks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo. Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacey J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.